Welcome to the Adult Basic Skills Professional Development video series. Throughout our productions, we are committed to excellence in adult education and professional development in basic skills instruction. The goal of this video series is to improve the effectiveness and quality of instruction through focused professional development.
This video is designed as a workshop with time allotted for you to actually work through the activities so that you know the concepts from the inside out. The video may be used as a model for developing your own staff development, or it may be used to build your own knowledge base in teaching adults to write. Writing for adults. Often when we think of teaching writing, we only think of developing sentences and paragraphs that can be combined to form stories, papers, or short themes. We think of teaching grammar, structure, organization, and spelling. First, let's examine what we know about teaching adults to write. Take a minute to write down what you already know about teaching adults to write. Stop the video to give yourself time to make your list. Now we'll look at the ways we as adults use writing. When do we pick up a pencil or use a keyboard? On the viewing guide, list the ways you have used writing in the past 24 hours. When you have finished, share your notes with someone. If someone is viewing this video with you, note similarities and differences in your lists. Now stop the video to complete the exercise. Upon finishing your sharing, restart the video. All of the responses you made on your list are the same uses of writing that our adult students also need to make. Many of them are hampered from doing everyday activities by their inability to use the written word. Adults need to be able to write a grocery list, take telephone messages, make notes of things to do, and keep a checkbook. Any of the activities you listed could be developed into writing activities for your students. Once students use writing to complete these activities, they begin to form the concept of writing as a tool that is convenient for many different uses. They are also surprised to see themselves as writers. This recognition soon leads to attempts at different kinds of writing, such as poetry, notes, email messages, letters, and stories. Writing does not occur in isolation. It occurs as people use all areas of language: reading, speaking, listening, viewing, and of course, writing. There is an interconnectedness of the communication skills. Even though our adult students know they are hindered by their inability to read and write, they usually don't recognize the close connection among their abilities in all areas of the language arts. Writing should be taught in the context of all the communication skills. It must be tied to real-life experiences. The very uses we as adults make of our language are the uses we need to teach to our students. To many adults, writing consists of knowing proper grammar. Often, teachers feel that way also. They think any material using incorrect grammar, punctuation, and spelling is not valid. However, for the beginning or inexperienced writers, these conventions provide only discouragement to the act of putting thoughts on paper. The next activity illustrates the frustrations felt by the adult when there is so much to think about just to get ideas on paper. We will pretend for a few moments. Let your imagination fly. You are from a newly discovered planet. You have been invited to visit a family in your hometown. Write a paragraph describing yourself so the family will recognize you right away as you disembark from your spacecraft. You are from a planet that uses no grammar rules, so you write your description without punctuation. When you have completed your paragraph, ask someone to check it. What is significant about this exercise? Writing is hard to read. A sense for thought patterns must be developed by the reader. Spelling has rules. Let's do the exercise over to see what we can learn, but this time you have rules, ones you were taught in your planet's schools. Here is a list of the grammar rules you must follow as you write. That was an interesting experience for you as an experienced writer. As you adapted to using the new set of grammar rules, what did you learn about learning? How did you feel about doing this exercise? What rules or generalizations can you make about teaching writing from this exercise? These are a few of the answers you may have given. You may have given many others. The experience of feeling what our learners feel helps us as instructors to maintain our perspective. Even though grammar is important in writing, it can stifle creativity and flow of writing when emphasized too much in the beginning stages. Feeling comfortable with writing is important at every stage of learning. Write in all areas of the curriculum. Do not grade writing. Now let's look at some activities you may do with beginning learners. One of the most successful strategies is the Learning Experience Approach, or LEA. However, this strategy will not be covered in detail in this video. If you would like more extensive information on the LEA, there is a video in this series you may watch later. Learning experience means the student's life experiences are used as the content for writing and reading. When their oral words are put in writing, they can be read as quoted, analyzed to teach reading strategies and rules, and cut apart to be practiced in different contexts. The learning of language, both speaking and written, is a complex process requiring a combination of the two. Here we see students using graphic organizers to clarify their thoughts prior to placing them in sentences. Writing and reading fit together. When reading, certain words clue the reader to a logical sequence. When writing, certain words must be included to give a logical sequence to the piece. In the following activity, the student is using context clues and her knowledge of sequencing to complete the short story. One strategy that gives a high level of success is predictable stories. In this strategy, the adult uses the content of the story to supply words that make sense. The words from which to choose may actually be supplied at the beginning of the story, or if the writer is a little more advanced, he may supply his own words. At this level, the learner may be unsure of spelling. Therefore, you will need to be available to write the words so they can be copied correctly. Using predictable stories helps adults become aware of sequencing. Let's begin by doing the exercise ourselves. When you have access to your students' stories, you will want to make some predictable stories. The computer provides a convenient and permanent way to produce these stories. Don't forget that high-interest, low-vocabulary books, newspapers, and magazines also provide a source of predictable stories. Read aloud to the students stories that have an adult theme, but are written at a lower reading level. After listening to the story, ask the adults to write a reaction to the story or summarize it. These stories can provide a powerful writing experience for adults. Writing can be used as an emotional outlet, and sometimes our students need this. Be sure that we, as instructors, must be ever aware of the emotional climate in our classroom. Students' writings after hearing a story such as this can give insight into a person's thinking, life, and feelings. Make a list of books you enjoy that would be appropriate as story prompters for adult writers. Go to the library to look for others. Perhaps you can build a small library of these books for your students to read. Adults often do not realize the amount of information they possess that can contribute to a successful writing experience. To pull out the vast resources they have stored mentally, use the splashdown activity. This activity requires the student to take part of the writing time to prepare for the assignment, a most valuable use of the time. Once the topic has been selected, it is written in the center of a page. The student then brainstorms about the topic, writing down in random form around the topic any and all ideas that come to mind. No one makes judgment on the value of the statements at this point. The idea is to generate as much information as possible. When the idea bank has been exhausted, the student determines 3 or 4 main points appropriate to the topic. These main points are written down and numbered according to the order they should be included in the paper. Then, as the brainstormed ideas are reread, they are matched and numbered to correspond with the main points. It is usually beneficial to the writer if the statements are rewritten beneath the main points to be sure they are included when the actual writing is done. The writer may find that there are statements that do not fit anywhere. An additional main topic may be included, or the unused statements can be discarded. If new ideas are generated as the student is working, of course, it is perfectly okay to include them in the work. This technique has proven very helpful in teaching new adult writers how to organize their thoughts. Chunking is similar to splashdown in that it helps students to get thoughts on paper. It is another way to connect learning and writing with adult interests. Ask the student what he is interested in. Write the word on a sheet of paper. Now ask the student to name 3 words associated with that topic. Write the words under the topic word. Do this same procedure 3 or 4 times. After several lists are made, tell the student to cut the topics apart from each other and from the word lists. Students then use their reading skills to match the topics to the word lists. As the match is made, the topic words are then written beneath the appropriate lists. This is also a marvelous way to get to know your students better. Next, use the splashdown or chunking organization to draft the paper. Write for 15 minutes without making any corrections or changes to your work. It is important to get the words on paper. Because you will be making changes, write only on every other line of your paper. This will give you room to make the changes you want to make later. Label this first copy Rough Draft. At this point in the writing process, content is the important issue. Be sure you say what you want to say. Here we see a student dictating a story that is being transcribed on the computer. She will then rewrite the story by cutting apart the sentences to rearrange them, producing a better product. As you watch the transcribing of Phyllis's story, notice that her exact words are used.
It's been 14 years since I was in school. Forget a lot. But then yet a lot comes back to you too once you start doing it. And it's a challenge.
What have you found the most challenging?
The math. I used to be an A student, now it's like, whoa. Yeah, it's amazing how much you lose, I guess you'd say, in the years.
This is a draft. Later, the student will make necessary changes to the script. Notice that the student reads her work. She actually begins the editing process at this point.
Now I've got the chance. I hope I can make it through. It is not easy coming back. You forget a lot of things. It has been 14 years, yet a lot comes back to you when you've been began doing it. It is a challenge. The math is the most challenging.
Next, the sentences are cut apart. The student reads her words over and over in the process of making decisions about how she wants her writing to read. She is given the option of changing words, adding words, or deleting words. The process actually feels very natural for both the instructor and the student. No pressure is applied. The last step is the student actually reproducing her work in a written manuscript. Now you try the activity on your own. Write a topic in the center of your paper. Next, place around that word or phrase other words that describe or explain the idea. Now group the words that go together. From your groupings, write sentences and paragraphs. To complete the video, we will review the writing process. This process should be used whenever adults are writing a narrative piece. However, adaptations can be made whenever necessary and appropriate. Let's go over each step. Begin with the pre-writing stage. Choose a topic. It may be a topic of specific interest to the adult or one studied in class. Splash down ideas for the paper. Discuss the major facts that should be included and write them on the splashdown. Organize the ideas generated during the brainstorming activity. The next steps can occur over and over and should occur until the student is pleased with the writing. It is time to revise. Revise, read, revise, read, revise, read, and revise until completely satisfied with the work. Ask fellow writers to read the work and give suggestions. Remember, this is a learning experience. Take constructive help from colleagues as learning experiences that contribute to writing perfection. It may be helpful to use a whole class period to share writing with the group. Get group comments and suggestions to strengthen the writing. As the draft is read, mark questionable sections. Revise until you are perfectly happy with the piece. Yes, this is work, but very rewarding work. The last step is editing. Some editing may have been done during the revising process, but at this point in the writing process, the focus is on mechanics. Check spelling, punctuation, and capital letters. Again, ask someone else to read your work. When we write, we are so close to the piece that often we do not see the problems. A different pair of eyes will see the needed changes faster than our own. To teach editing, teach proofreading marks. Use proofreading checklists. Circle the words that might be misspelled. Check that all sentences begin with capital letters. Check that all sentences end with punctuation marks. Check that all proper nouns begin with a capital letter. Of course, the last step is producing the final draft, the copy that brings pride. Writing is meant to be shared. Plan a class time or a special time when writers share their products. Publish the papers for the whole class to enjoy. Make writing a rewarding experience. To capsule the process, let me point out some important points to keep in mind when teaching writing. Teach the informal writing strategies before introducing the writing process. Use the writing process terminology. Write class collaborations. Keep first writings short. Practice critiquing compositions as a class. Begin with compliments in writing groups. Keep writing folders. Writing is a necessary skill. It is a difficult skill. It is a rewarding skill. Now you need the practice of writing. As an instructor, make time in your busy schedule to write. Share your compositions with your students. Enjoy.